Hello traders, this is Rich from Tradesight. This is the market preview for Wednesday, June 11th, 2014. Sliding to the close of futures trading here this afternoon. We're basically unchanged in the ES with a little bit of an advance in the NQs. The NQ showing a little relative strength today, up about 6 handles. Had relative weakness in the Russell versus the broad market, and internally the market was actually kind of weak. Even though they were trying to advance, the NASDAQ futures were up 6.5 handles, but the advanced declines were minus about 300 issues. The New York Stock Exchange was even a little bit worse at minus about 450. So all in all, just kind of a do-nothing day with some slightly negative internals. But let's get up and take a look at price, and then we'll also focus today on the intermarkets as well. All right, first up, let's take a look at the TLT, just because the equity futures were so boring today. TLTs did make a new low on the move and also a new low close, and you can see that we're also settling now down below the 50-period moving average. So we're definitely short-term negative now, being below the 10 EMA and a 50. We're 7 days down in the startup phase, so on bar 8 or 9 we could find little support here from this initial impulse to the downside. But you can see how this is affecting trade right now. I think it's a little bit of a source of funds for what's been flowing into the market. We had a 10-year auction today, and Wednesday we're going to get the results from the 10-year is going to be tomorrow, so that'll be the setup, and then the 30-year auction is going to be on Thursday. So a couple of things that could definitely move the needle for this chart. Oil futures today, kind of a resting day. They were quite a bit higher for a while, but they broke them intraday. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we're going to get the government data for the oil inventories, and that definitely could have an effect here and potentially bust this out. So we'll have to see how they want to play that. MACD is still above the zero line here, but doesn't have a whole lot of momentum right now. So we're plenty early in the startup phase. We're only 3 bars up here, so we could easily bust out and hit this 106.25 area before running into any kind of trouble from the bar count, if that's the direction that they want to take after the report. Here are the oil futures, trying to really kind of circle the wagons here at the zero ace line today. We did settle above the 10-period moving average, so we could be on the cusp of turning short-term positive. But I need one more day to confirm that. The MACD is also knocking on the door of turning over to a positive cross here, which could develop a little bit of momentum, and certainly, at the very minimum, take it up to the 50-period moving average. All right, moving into the equity futures. Here's the Russell. The Russell today basically just had an inside day. We were 3 days up. Here's 1, 2, 3, and oftentimes after you get 3 days up, you have to have a little bit of a rest. And today's action was completely contained within the previous day, so it's just a classic resting day. One positive is that we did close above the top half of the previous day's range, so that's a small positive for the bulls, and there's plenty of room to get to the 8 ace level here before running into any bar count issues. Next up, let's take a look at the ES futures, which were kind of soggy, really didn't do too much. You can see we've been kind of boxed up here for the last 3 sessions without really having anything to show for it. We are still proceeding in the secret countdown here, marching towards that exhaustion warning. So we do have momentum to the upside. We had basically a little bit of a rest here. Then we had this strong push to the upside. Now we're resting again and see if we can, as the frogs do, jump up to the next lily pad and see if they can get up a little bit closer to the 8 ace level, which is going to be the next big target at 2,000, which is still a fair ways away. So for now, we're positive as long as we can hold above this 10-period moving average. Here's the NQs, which were the stronger one on the day. We have a couple of days up here, 1, 2 days up, made a new high, closed down, made a new high, closed. This is actually the trend termination formation, but we don't have very much extension at all in these candles. You really want to see those things get spread out and show some big range to the upside. We're not really seeing that, so the formation is there, and it is at range high, which is important. So if we do start to roll to the downside tomorrow pretty quickly, be prepared to act on the short side, without a doubt. Formations there, MACD is extended. to the upside here, and the CCI has also had a falling off here, where we're definitely losing momentum in this market. So if we do start to head to the downside, watch out. All right, I want to talk about the relative strength here. Nasdaq, after having this pullback, has certainly reasserted itself. You can see that it is breaking out to new highs. The S&P, the red line here, is definitely lagging behind. So it's good to see the Nasdaq starting to pick it up here after this recharge to the downside. So as long as Nasdaq is heading higher, that's still positive for the market. If the S&P can't break out of that range, if Nasdaq starts to roll to the downside, we're definitely going to watch out and start really looking for shorts for intraday trading opportunities. All right, here's another important chart. This is the this is the S&P versus the cumulative advanced decline line on New York Stock Exchange. S&P is still trying to push out to new highs here. The cumulative advanced decline has cooperated so far, but we're starting to see a little weakness. We were negative today. One day does not make a trend, but if we do start to see more negative days put up as far as advanced declines, then we really want to watch out, because the advanced decline line will pull the S&Ps down if it rolls over, and oftentimes the advanced declines will lead price. So want to watch this every day for sure, because when it rolls over, it always takes price lower. Price doesn't have a chance of advancing without it and holding up. All right, here's a look at the 10-day trend. That's on top. We're getting close to that 0.85 overbought threshold. Haven't tagged it just yet. We recorded 0.79 today. Keep in mind that we do still have a couple of very low readings that we're carrying the average right now. We've got one at 0.65 and another one around 0.8 as well. So we got a couple low readings in there. And if we do tag this overbought area, it's definitely going to stop the advance. If you look back here, we tagged it here, stopped the advance here for multiple weeks, tagged it again here, and that was this top. Actually broke below it here. This one was pretty severe. We were pretty severely overbought, and we put this top in place and had this correction to the downside. Hit this area here where we couldn't go higher anymore and went sideways for weeks. Hit it here. Wound up going sideways before we had this sell-off. This is definitely something to be mindful of. All right, and last up, let's take a look at the multi-sector daily chart. We had some definite strength today in the XAU, as you can see, starting to curl back up here. We had a little bit of weakness in both the transports and the oil services. Don't forget we got that oil inventory number coming out tomorrow, and we are at range high on the oil futures chart. So that definitely could come into play. So make sure you're aware of that. That's going to be at 10:30 New York time tomorrow. A little bit of a resting day here in the banking index, the BKX, and just really not a lot to talk about as far as prices changing up here. That's why we focused on the market internals in this report. Tomorrow for the report, we're going to go back and we'll look at we'll do a little bit more in depth on the individual sectors and see how they are as far as price. But there really wasn't too much to look at today, since we're essentially where we were yesterday. All right, and we're going to end with the sector watch list. You can see that the XAU is top gun. The defensive drug index was fairly strong. The SOX was up 0.3%, which was the best Nasdaq sector, and the BTK was close behind it. Broker dealers were fairly weak, though the banking index wasn't nearly as weak. Broker dealers were actually pretty volatile today. Keep an eye on Goldman Sachs. That's starting to trace out a little funky pattern that could be interesting. It's actually kind of wound up with energy. Oil services were also weak, and transports were kind of just nowhere today. So we'll dig into these charts in the next report. So until then, thanks for listening. This has been Rich for Tradesight.